Story number 1. Wrong door. I got home a little after 8 on Valentine's Day. 12 hours at the children's hospital, most of it on my feet. My studio was dark and quiet, which was fine. I'd been single for 3 weeks. Long enough that coming home alone felt normal again, but recent enough that I still noticed the space where someone used to be. I changed into sweatpants and made tea. My phone was on the counter, face down. When it buzzed, I almost didn't check it. Unknown number, just 2 words, I'm here. I stared at the screen for a moment, then felt something shift in my chest. Ryan. It had to be. He'd pulled this kind of thing before, the grand gesture instead of the actual conversation. Flowers on Valentine's Day, after the way things ended. It was exactly the kind of move he'd think was romantic instead of presumptuous. I felt annoyed and, if I'm honest, a little hopeful. Not that I wanted him back, just that I wanted the acknowledgement, the apology. I walked to the door in my socks and unlocked it without looking through the peephole. The man standing in the hallway wore a navy blue uniform, button-down shirt, dark pants, no logo. No company name on the chest or shoulders. He was holding a clipboard, not flowers. He smiled. "Hey, sorry. Which apartment is Sarah's?" The smell hit me before I could answer. Sharp and chemical, fresh printer ink. The kind that comes off a waybill when it's just been printed, still tacky. I looked at the clipboard. He was holding it at an angle, but I could see the paper clipped to it. The text looked smudged, too dark in places. "Wrong apartment," I said. He didn't move. His eyes flicked past me into my studio, just for a second, then back to my face. "You sure?" he asked. "I've got a delivery for Sarah." "I'm not Sarah!" "Right, but do you know which one is hers?" He tilted his head slightly, still smiling. "I've been up and down this floor." I started to close the door. He put his boot in the frame. It happened fast. I was pushing the door and it stopped. I looked down and saw the boot wedged in the gap. Steel toe, scuffed black leather. "Hey," he said. His voice was still calm. "I just need to know which apartment is Sarah's." I shoved harder. The door didn't move. "Wrong apartment," I said again. My voice sounded strange, too high. He leaned his weight into the door. Not aggressive, just steady pressure, like he was testing it. "Come on," he said. "Just tell me which one." I stopped pushing and stepped back. Then I slammed the door as hard as I could. It caught his boot, and I heard him grunt, but I didn't stop. I threw my shoulder into it and screamed, not words, just noise, as loud as I could. The boot pulled back. I slammed the deadbolt and hooked the chain. My hands were shaking. I pressed my eye to the peephole. He was still standing there. He wasn't holding his foot, wasn't limping. He looked at my door for a moment, then down at his clipboard. He said something under his breath. Then he turned and walked toward the stairwell. His gait was completely normal. I grabbed my phone and called the front desk. My voice came out steadier than I expected. "This is 314. Someone just tried to force my door open. He said he was a delivery driver, but he's not. He's walking toward the stairwell right now. The security guard said he'd check the cameras and call me back." I stood at the peephole until my eyes started to water. The hallway stayed empty. My phone rang 6 minutes later. "Miss Chen?" The guard's voice was tight. "I'm looking at the footage now. Can you describe him?" I did. Navy uniform, no logo, clipboard, 30-ish maybe, brown hair. "Yeah," the guard said, "I see him. He tried 4 other doors tonight." My stomach dropped. 4 apartments, 302, 318, 326, and yours. He knocked on 302 first. Woman answered. He asked for Sarah. She said wrong apartment and closed the door. He tried 318 next. No answer. Then 326. Woman opened the door. He asked the same thing. She started to tell him, "There's no Sarah on this floor," and he put his hand on the door frame. She shut it on him. Then he came to you. Did he leave? He's in the stairwell now. Heading down. Police are on the way. I sat on the edge of my bed. My tea was still on the counter, going cold. "All women?" I asked. "What?" "The apartments he tried. Are they all single women?" There was a pause. I don't know, the guard said, but I can tell you 302 and 326 are. I thought about the text. I'm here, not I have a delivery, or this is your driver. Just those two words, like someone I knew, like someone I'd been expecting. He didn't have a delivery, I said. No, the guard agreed. We checked. No services dispatched here tonight. The police came 20 minutes later. 2 officers. They took my statement in the hallway. I told them about the text, the uniform, the clipboard, the smell of ink, the way he looked past me into the apartment. They said they'd pulled the footage. They said the other women had given similar descriptions. They said he'd left the building before they arrived. One of the officers asked if I'd opened the door because I thought I knew who it was. I said yes. She nodded, wrote something down. They left after 30 minutes. The guard called again later to tell me they'd checked the stairwell and parking garage. No sign of him. I didn't sleep that night. I kept thinking about the text, the way it was phrased, the way he'd smiled, the clipboard with the smudged ink. The next morning, the building manager sent an email. 4 women had been targeted. 2 of them, including me, had forced the door shut. The other 2 had almost let him inside. One said she'd been about to ask if she should sign something. The other said he'd seemed polite, just confused. The email reminded us not to open our doors without verifying identity. I thought about the way he'd walked away. No limp, no hesitation. I thought about the text still sitting on my phone. I'm here. I never found out who Sarah was, or if there ever was one. Story number 2, Dinner Reservation. I met Sarah at Moretti's on Valentine's Day, which probably sounds cliché, but it was the only night we were both free. We'd been talking online for almost 2 years, not constantly, but enough that I felt like I knew her. She lived 3 hours away in Richmond, worked in hospital administration, had a dry sense of humor. When she suggested meeting halfway, I said yes before I could overthink it. The restaurant was packed. Every table full, couples leaning close over candlelight, that low hum of conversation and silverware. I got there 10 minutes early and waited near the host stand, straightening my tie, feeling like I'd forgotten how to do this. Then she walked in and smiled, and I recognized her immediately from her photos. Dark hair pulled back, blue dress, carrying a small clutch purse. She smelled like jasmine when we hugged hello. She'd mentioned once that it was her favorite perfume, something her mother used to wear. We got seated in the back corner, which was fine with me. Less pressure. The waiter brought water and menus, and Sarah ordered a glass of Pinot Grigio. I got the same, even though I don't usually drink wine. We talked easily. She asked about my daughter, Emma, and I told her about the science fair project we'd been working on, a model of the solar system that had taken over our kitchen table. She laughed at that. Said her nephew was the same way, always building something. The appetizer came, calamari we'd agreed to split. She took a few bites, then excused herself to the restroom, said she'd be right back. I watched her walk away, weaving between tables, and felt this cautious optimism I hadn't let myself feel in a long time. Maybe this could actually work. She was gone. Maybe 5 minutes. When she came back, she slid into her seat and picked up her fork. I noticed the smell had changed. Instead of jasmine, there was this sharp floral scent, chemical, like the hand soap you get in public restrooms. I figured the bathroom here must have strong soap. She probably washed her hands, and it overpowered her perfume. Made sense. We kept talking. She asked what I did for work, which seemed odd because we'd covered that before, but I figured maybe she wanted me to elaborate. I said I was an accountant, worked from home mostly. She nodded and said something about how stressful it must be running an accounting firm. I almost corrected her that I work solo, just me and my laptop in the spare bedroom, but I let it go. Didn't want to seem pedantic on a first date. Then she called me Marcus. She said, "Marcus, do you want to split an entree or order separately?" Nobody calls me Marcus, I go by Mark. Have since I was a kid. Marcus is what's on my tax forms, my driver's license, legal documents. Sarah knew me as Mark. Every message, every email, I signed it Mark. She'd never used my full name before because I'd never told her. I felt something tighten in my chest. "I usually go by Mark," I said, keeping my voice light. She smiled. "Right, sorry, Mark." I tried to shake it off. Maybe I'd mentioned it once and forgotten. Maybe it was in my profile somewhere. I picked up my water glass and drank, buying time, trying to settle the unease crawling up my spine. She kept talking. Asked how Emma was adjusting to Riverside Elementary. Said she'd heard good things about their music program. I put the glass down carefully. "I never told you what school she goes to, didn't you?" She tilted her head, still smiling. "I thought you mentioned it." "I hadn't. I've been careful about that. You don't put your kid's school name on dating apps or in messages to strangers. That's basic safety. Must have been someone else," I said. She laughed softly. "Maybe I'm mixing things up. It's been a long day." She glanced toward the window. "Is your car the silver Camry? I think I parked near you in the west lot." The metallic taste of adrenaline hit the back of my throat. "I drive a silver Camry. I had parked in the west lot because it was less crowded." I'd never mentioned my car to her. Not the make, not the color, nothing. I looked at her face. Same dark hair, same blue dress, same features I'd seen in dozens of photos. But something was wrong, something fundamental. "Sarah," I said quietly, "what was the name of your nephew's science project? The one you told me about last month?" She blinked. "Which project?" "The volcano. You said he made a volcano for his school fair and it exploded all over the gym floor." "Oh, right." She nodded. "That was a mess." Sarah's nephew had built a bridge out of popsicle sticks. There was no volcano. I'd made it up just now. I felt cold. The restaurant noise seemed far away, muffled. She was still smiling at me, waiting for me to say something. I raised my hand and caught the waiter's eye. He came over and I said I wasn't feeling well, chest pains, probably nothing serious, but I needed to step outside for air. He looked concerned, asked if he should call someone. I said no, just needed a minute. I stood up, pulled 2 20s from my wallet and dropped them on the table. She didn't try to stop me, didn't ask if I was okay or offer to come with me. She just sat there, watching me with that same pleasant expression. I walked fast toward the back of the restaurant, past the restrooms, through the swinging doors into the kitchen. A cook looked up, surprised, but I kept moving. Out the rear exit into the cold air of the parking lot, my hands were shaking. I leaned against the brick wall, trying to breathe, trying to think. I needed to call someone, police maybe. But what would I say? That my date knew things she shouldn't know, that she looked right but felt wrong. A busboy came out carrying 2 bags of trash. He walked to the dumpster at the edge of the lot and heaved them in. I heard the crash of bottles, the thud of garbage. Something made me walk over. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to move, needed to do something with the adrenaline screaming through my system. I looked into the dumpster, saw the usual restaurant waste, food scraps, cardboard boxes, broken glass. And there, near the top of the pile, I saw a leather clutch purse. Small, brown, with a distinctive brass clasp shaped like a flower. The same purse Sarah had been carrying when she walked into the restaurant. I reached in and pulled it out. Opened it. Inside was a phone with a cracked screen, a wallet with Sarah's driver's license behind the clear plastic window, and a set of car keys. No lipstick, no tissues, no perfume bottle. I stood there holding it, the smell of garbage thick around me, and looked back at the restaurant. Through the kitchen window, I could see the warm light, the movement of staff, the normalcy of a busy Valentine's night. I still had my phone. I could call Sarah's number right now, see what happened, but I didn't. I set the purse on the ground next to the dumpster and walked to my car. Got in, locked the doors, started the engine. As I pulled out of the parking lot, I saw her through the restaurant window, still sitting at our table. She'd ordered something else. She was eating slowly, looking down at her plate. I drove home and checked every lock twice. Emma was at her mother's house for the weekend. I was grateful for that. The next morning, I deleted my dating profile. Sarah's account was already gone. Story number 3, Carpool Lane. I requested a ride after work on a Thursday evening, standing outside my office building in downtown Phoenix. The sky was already shifting into those orange and pink gradients that happen fast here in October, the heat finally breaking as the sun dropped. I had my phone out, watching the little car icon move closer on the map. Silver Honda Accord. License plate matched. I'd done this hundreds of times. He pulled up, and I got in the back seat without really looking at him. That's the thing about ride shares. You stop paying attention after a while. It becomes as automatic as getting on a bus. I did notice the smell, though. Cherry air freshener, the cheap kind that hangs from the rearview mirror, but underneath it was stale cigarette smoke baked into the upholstery. I cracked my window a little. We headed toward the highway, and I was already thinking about what I'd make for dinner. He didn't say much, which was fine. I prefer quiet drivers. We merged onto the 101, traffic thick but moving, that familiar stop and go of rush hour. I was scrolling through my phone when I felt the car shift lanes and then take an exit. I looked up. We were getting off at 55th Avenue, which wasn't my exit, not even close. "Excuse me," I said, leaning forward slightly. "I think you missed the turn. Shortcut," he said. His voice was flat, matter of fact. Traffic's bad on the main route right now. I sat back. That made sense. He drove this city every day, probably knew all the back ways to avoid congestion. I'd had drivers do this before, cutting through neighborhoods or taking surface streets that somehow ended up being faster. I went back to my phone. But after a few minutes, I noticed we weren't in a neighborhood. We were passing warehouses, big blank buildings with loading docks and chain-link fences. Empty lots filled with gravel and desert scrub. The road was wider here, industrial, and there were no other cars, not one. The sun was almost down now, and the light had gone flat and grey. I checked the app. The little car icon was moving, but it was heading away from my apartment, not toward it. The estimated arrival time had jumped from 12 minutes to 26. "Hey," I said, louder this time, "this doesn't look right. Can you turn around?" He didn't answer, just kept driving, steady speed, hands at 10 and 2. "Excuse me," I said again, my voice harder now. "You need to turn around. This isn't the way." That's when I heard it. A soft mechanical click, all 4 doors at once, the locks engaging. My stomach dropped. It's a small sound, but in that moment it was the loudest thing in the world. I looked at the back of his head, his thinning hair, the collar of his jacket. He adjusted the rearview mirror slightly and I saw his eyes. He was looking right at me. "Someone wants to meet you," he said. His tone was calm, conversational. Like he was telling me we'd be there in 5 minutes, or asking if I wanted him to change the radio station. I stopped breathing for a second. Then everything sharpened. I unbuckled my seatbelt, the click loud in the quiet car, and grabbed the door handle. I pulled hard, but of course it didn't move. Child lock, or he'd disabled it from the front. My hand was shaking. "Let me out," I said. My voice sounded strange, thin and high. "Let me out right now." He didn't respond, didn't speed up or slow down, just kept driving. "I will jump out of this car," I said, pulling at the handle again, harder, even though I knew it wouldn't work. "At the next light, the next stop sign, I'm jumping out. I don't care if the car is moving." Still nothing. My other hand was already reaching for my phone. I pulled it up, unlocked it with my thumbprint, opened the keypad to dial 911. My thumb was hovering over the 9 when something made me glance at the app still open in the background. The driver photo. I stared at it. The man in the photo was younger, maybe late 20s, with a full dark beard and glasses. Smiling. The kind of generic, friendly photo people use for these apps. I looked up at the rearview mirror again, at the man driving. Middle-aged, clean-shaven, no glasses, thinner face, different nose. It wasn't him. It wasn't the same person. My brain tried to catch up. The license plate had matched. The car matched, but the driver didn't. Someone else was using this account. Someone had access to it, Could see when rides were requested, where people were going. Could accept rides that weren't meant for them. I thought about all the times I'd gotten into cars without really looking at the driver's face. How many times I'd just checked the license plate and gotten in. "Who are you?" I said. He met my eyes in the mirror again, but didn't answer. The road ahead was empty. We were passing a long stretch of corrugated metal fence, some kind of storage facility or junkyard. No cross streets, no lights. The sky was almost dark now, that deep blue before full night. I pressed 911 and hit call, lifting the phone to my ear. It rang once. The car slowed down. For a second I thought he was stopping, that maybe the threat of the police had worked, but then I realized he was turning. Pulling onto an even smaller road, unpaved, just dirt and rocks leading between two warehouses. Gravel crunched under the tires. 911, what's your emergency? The voice in my ear was clear, professional. "I'm in a car," I said quickly, watching the driver's eyes in the mirror. "A rideshare. The driver isn't who he's supposed to be. He locked the doors and won't let me out. I don't know where he's taking me." "Okay, stay on the line with me. Can you tell me your location?" I looked out the window, but there were no street signs. Just dark buildings and empty spaces. "I don't know exactly. We're off the 101, somewhere near 55th Avenue, I think. Industrial area." He turned onto a dirt road. "Is the car still moving?" "Yes." The dispatcher's voice stayed calm, asking me questions, telling me units were being dispatched, but I was only half listening. I was watching the driver. He hadn't reacted to the call at all, hadn't tried to grab my phone or speed up or do anything. He just kept driving slowly down this dirt road into the dark. And then, ahead, I saw lights. Not street lights. Headlights. Another car, parked and waiting.